Welcome to the Philip Corper Show. I'm Philip Corper. This is October 16, 2018, and this is episode 51. And we have a ton of things to cover today. I'm not going to get through half of it, but I want to try to share with you what I think is most important. There's incredible things going on. The Donald was brilliant and got somehow, some way, got Elizabeth Warren, Fauxcahontas, to reveal that like she's 99%, 99.1 or 2% white. Okay. She's not a Cherokee Indian. I know this surprises many, many people. She's not a woman of color. She's not a Cherokee Indian. She's not a Native American. Oh, well. We'll talk about that. And we will talk about what the Donald's doing. His interview with Leslie Stahl in 60 Minutes was just absolutely incredible. I want to talk about that. And I want to start off, and we've got a quote from Thomas Sowell, and I want to talk about Marsys Law. That was on the ballot. I voted absentee the other day, Marsys Law. I've done some more research into that. I should have researched that before I voted, but I knew it looked fishy. I voted no, and I think I made the right choice. I want to explain that a little bit to you. So anyhow, I want to talk about values versus partisanship, okay? And the debate that we get into these political debates. And what I've noticed, and I noticed this yesterday when I was debating a friend of mine, I notice what frequently happens is that debate goes into this values thing. They'll start using values or expectations or morality, ironically. Of course, the Democrats rarely try to use morality, but they do on occasion. They will use morality versus just partisanship. And first of all, I don't think partisanship is bad. I mean, we divide up issues. We disagree in the United States on how the things that we want our government to do. We have honest debate. We have disagreements. And usually those disagreements, there's two sides to the debate. And then the Republicans usually cover one side of the debate, the Democrats the other. It's not always perfect, even divide there. But it becomes a partisan debate where we debate an issue. That's fine. But a lot of people coach this thing in this morality value thing. For example, I'll give you three examples. One example, yesterday when I was debating, we were talking about the Donald, and my friend is really pretty much anti the Donald. His son is very pro Donald, which is ironic. But this guy, not so much. He's really whiny and complains about the Donald all the time. But he did lead off saying he liked his going hard against China. He thinks he's really right about that. He likes the tax cuts, although he really didn't think we really needed them because he's worried about the debt. And I'm like, oh, you weren't worried about the national debt when, under Obama it went from 10 to $20 trillion. See, then he reveals his cards, okay? So really what the debate here, it's partisanship, okay? I'm a Republican. He's pretty much a Democrat. I like to vote issues, okay? I have issues that I'm really concerned about, and I try to stay focused on that so I get my issues, so I win. So I elect politicians who do what I want, and I want to win on these issues. I've got very core issues. I like small, limited government, which will give me low taxes. I want the government to get out of the way. I want capitalism to work. Okay, this is very important. I'm very pro-military, and I'm very low regulation, like I said, and I'm very pro-life. Okay, those are really big issues for me. Okay, I'm for border security, and so these are issues that I really enjoy. And then this spills into other issues. For example, with capitalism, I'm very, I don't want the government involved in medicine. Okay, government getting involved in medicine is just totally screwed it up. When the government gets involved in anything, it just screws it up. I mean, look at the United States Post Office and compare that to FedEx. I mean, there's like no comparison. Okay, one is so much better than the other. One is much more efficient than the other. One makes a lot more money than the other. Okay, this is just, it's just, and the quote, I'll end the show with a quote from Thomas Sowell that illustrates that. So this guy, he basically, then he goes, well, he was just furious that the Donald met with Vladimir Putin in private. Just furious. What is he doing that for? Oh, that looks so bad. This is awful. He was just going crazy on this. I just what? He's the head of state. We elected him to do this. If I was the president of the country and you were president of another country, I would love to meet privately with you so we could openly, freely negotiate things, okay, and make progress on a lot of things. It's just crazy. I go, were you upset when Obama was whispering, after the election, I'll be much more free to do all these things? I mean, Obama was trying to have a one-on-one off mic with somebody. Okay, were you upset at that? See, that reveals their cards, because I know he's just being partisan. Okay, he's just carrying the Democrat banner and I'm carrying the Republican banner. It's okay, we disagree. It's partisanship, okay? But we always couch this thing in some kind of values thing or a nonpartisan type of fashion, okay? Let me give you the second example. And I know I've used this I talked about this yesterday. But it's the EKU professors, Eastern Kentucky University, their letter that they wrote. Okay, so they wrote this to the President Benson, who's the EKU president. And this is the Donald was coming for a rally Saturday night. And they wanted to express their concern, their ideas of the campaign. And so he talked about, they say this is a collective statement and has done so much to undermine the values of higher education. So the word I want you to focus on there is they mention values of higher education. Okay, and they talk about scientific inquiry, I guess climate change, and they're just worried about this. And then they talk about free speech, okay, and they say he's suppressing free speech. So all of these Democrat professors, okay, and staff, okay, these are pretty much all Democrats. I mean, I guarantee you, there's not one Republican on this who signed this. Okay, so these are Democrats. They don't label themselves as Democrats. So they pretend that they're this nonpartisan, above the fray group of people. And they're going to talk about values and how the Donald does not meet their values. Ooh, this is bad. Okay, and this is bad. And so they go on. And they say, as a group, we among the faculty subscribe to a diverse set of political beliefs which mirror, lies, No, most university professors are Democrats. You can look at their funding, how these professors fund the elections, it's like over 90% Democrat. I have friends who are Latter-day Saints, and they are professors. And as you know, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we are a very conservative people. The state of Utah, where a lot of members of our church live, that is one of the most Republican states in the union, We're notoriously very Republican, mainly because we're very pro-life, And we like it when the government stays away, because our church, when it got its start in the 1830s, was heavily persecuted by the government, even by the federal government. The federal government threatened to send an army out to Utah, and to really take over everything, We were, so anyhow, we've had problems with the government. So anyhow, and we're also very self-sufficient, personal responsibility kind of group of people, for the most part. And so anyhow, getting back to what the professors said, they said, as a group, we among the faculty subscribe to a diverse, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I read that. And then this other part, they were talking about, we must object to this campaign, which has consistently, openly, and unambiguously attacked the values. There they go again. So they're not going to talk about the politics, but they're going to talk about or the partisanship. They're going to talk about values, inquiry, learning, and free speech. Okay, so that is what their gripe is. It's about values. Okay, so so my friend earlier, he was talking about President Trump is not being presidential. Okay, he thinks he should be presidential. Okay, this is meaningless to me. Okay, what is he talking about? He's just taking pot shots at a president that he doesn't fully agree with because he's pretty much a Democrat and I'm a Republican. Okay, he is on the left, I'm on the right. It's okay. We can agree to disagree. And So anyhow, the EKU professors are doing the same thing. They're talking about these values, okay, that he's not, in essence, they're saying he's not presidential. Okay, they're griping and they're trying to be nonpartisan about this, but it's a lie. They're really hiding. It's cloak and dagger. They're hiding that they're partisan and they're just griping and whining and fussing about him. And so the last example I want to use is Brett Kavanaugh hearing. Okay, so the Democrats were, once again, this Merrick Garland lie, okay, this lie that the Democrats were completely justified in treating Brett Kavanaugh just like we treated Merrick Garland. Okay, that is a complete lie. We did not destroy Merrick Garland. We did not drag up all these people from his past to go after him. Okay, we did not do that. We just did not vote on him. This is completely within the rules of the Senate. The Senate advises and consents. The President of the United States gets to nominate and pick who he wants on the Supreme Court. That is his constitutional right. That's why a big reason we elect a president to do that. But then we elect the Senate to say yay or nay to that candidate. Okay? So if you want the Democrats to pick, if you wanted Merrick Garland to be on the Supreme Court, well, you needed to put senators in there who were Democrats who would support President Obama's nominee. If the Senate was run by the Democrats, Merrick Garland would probably be on the Supreme Court. But it wasn't. The Republicans were in control of the Senate and still are, and probably, hopefully will be for a long time. And so when Obama nominated Merrick Garland, Mitch McConnell, the Republican Senate Majority Leader, said, no, we're not going to proceed with Merrick Garland. Well, let's wait and have an election, okay? And so the Senate stalled. This has been done time and time again. No real big deal. Okay, but the Democrats go 11 out of 10 and they go crazy, okay? And they go crazy on Brett Kavanaugh, okay? And they don't say this is a partisan attack on him. Although Chuck Schumer was really almost quite open about that. He, 10 seconds after President Trump nominated Brett Kavanaugh, fill in the blank, Chuck Schumer was going to every fiber of his body oppose the nomination, which he did. But they couched it not as partisanship. They dragged these ladies out of who knows where, and with all these accusations from 30 years ago, with no evidence. Brett Kavanaugh is not a known womanizer. None of this really fits into place. It's not very believable. There is no evidence. Okay? And I will say, I do not believe Christine Blasey Ford. Lots of Republicans, even Brett Kavanaugh says he does believe her. He probably really doesn't, okay? But he went along with this kind of kinder and gentler narrative, okay? I do not believe her, okay? She is going to make millions of dollars now, okay? I don't know why she did this, but I'm totally convinced that Brett Kavanaugh never did any of the things that she said. But anyhow, the Democrats attack Brett Kavanaugh, and they don't say that they're partisan attacks, okay, politically. They're not going after him. They did a little bit because he's going to overturn Roe v. Wade or things like this, but which is partisan, okay. But for the most part, they went after these values that he doesn't have the right demeanor. He doesn't have the moral fortitude. He drinks too much beer. He's an alcoholic. These are all moral value things that they try to tie around his neck to drown him. Okay, so this is so common in political debate. And I love just cutting through all the nonsense. That President Trump is not presidential. I mean, well, who really cares? As long as he gets done what he's doing, this strong foreign policy is another huge thing. I mean, which is this, and actually I got my friend to mellow out on that. And I said, do you remember who Henry Kissinger is? And he did know who Henry Kissinger was. And I said, well, did you know that Henry Kissinger just recently said that the Donald is probably going to go down as one of the best presidents on foreign policy in just decades? And he actually goes, no, I didn't know that. Yes. And so we just cut it through all the cheese and all the malarkey and just got down to the real issues. And then Henry Kissinger apparently carries some credibility with me, he does, and with my friend. And so that helped me persuade my friend a little bit to the side. So anyhow, I just think that's huge. And I've just been thinking about that this morning on my run, about we get into all these debates, and really we hide the fact that they're partisan debates, which they really are. Because, if you come at someone in a partisan way, I mean, people just go into their groups and no one really wants to think openly. But we hide these debates sometimes with values, just like the EKU professors, I think, did, just like my friend did, and just like the Democrats were really pretending that they were being fair and going after Brett Kavanaugh for all these different things. Oh, this 60 Minutes interview that the Donald had with Lesley Stahl is just fantastic. Absolute fantastic. The left will go, oh yeah, the Donald, oh, he's just confused and his White House staff is in disarray and all of this nonsense, okay? Once again, this is not really bearing down to really, that's just partisan, mumbling and grumbling, which is fine, which we're going to expect, which is healthy, okay? Partisan debate, I think, is very healthy. And we can open ourselves up to different ideas, and we can learn and we can work together on many different things. But Lesley Stahl actually admits, and she said, because she interviewed him before the election, right after the election. She said right after the election, he looked kind of just stunned. But I think he was probably overwhelmed. There was a lot of things going on right after the election. And that's right when, of course, the Democrats were ramping up their attack on him, which was just incredible. But anyhow, Lesley Stahl says now he is truly president. He is very confident. And the Donald really just knows how to handle things like this, okay? And one of the most interesting things that Lesley Stahl said afterwards is that the Republicans now believe, and she seemed to support this idea, they believe now, and this is what I wish Ben Shapiro and even Andrew Klavan would just realize, listen to Michael Knowles on this, that the Donald, his tweeting, his being off script, not just following the teleprompter. The Donald is really getting into his groove and his confidence. And Lesley Stahl recognizes his confidence. And even the GOP now is realizing, let the Donald loose. Let him go. Let him go to these rallies. Let him speak his mind. The guy's got great political instinct. Let him go. And the Donald now has incredible confidence. And so remember I mentioned yesterday on the podcast, I just sense that, man, we're just breaking through this, and that the Donald is just really maturing into this president who is really getting a lot done for the conservative agenda and reaching across the aisle and getting more and more people into the tent. And he's really doing this. And I think Lesley Stahl really is really aware of that, and she feels that. And I love how she's talking about the GOP. People like Mitch McConnell and hopefully Paul Ryan, although he's on the way out, these people realize, these other Republican leaders are really siding with him. Even Mitt Romney now, yesterday, he's just really not criticizing the Donald. I love it. I love it. It's great. Well, good. Let's just stop the heckling each other and let's get on with the business of the day. I mean, the Donald on my run today, I mean, I'm getting tweet after tweet on my watch of the Donald. The guy is up and now he's going. He is so busy. I'm so proud of him. I think he's doing great. I pray for him every day. So I just think this 60 Minutes interview was awesome. And the Donald handles her. And he will push back. I saw a meme on Facebook, like he might not be the most perfect, but he's perfect for the job. Well, of course, none of us are perfect. We all struggle with different things. But man, I believe the Donald is perfect for the job right now. I really do think he's a godsend for us. And the guy is a terrific fighter. And he is just off to the races. And I think he's making America great again. And I think he's really helping us politically. Now, speaking of the Donald, I mean, I don't know how he did this. But somehow, some way, he got Fauxcahontas to reveal, supposedly, a DNA test. Now, this looks super suspicious. I mean, she gets this DNA test down in Georgia, and then some Stanford professor, Bustamante, he gives us the results. So who knows what this is? This is like Christine Blasey Ford's lie detector test. We have no idea what's going on here. But she reveals like she is 1,024th Native American. Okay, the average white American has more Native American blood. We have more Native American blood in us than that. Okay, this is just really incredible. So she reveals this. Now, some Democrats are really mad at her. Gosh, we're 22 days away from the midterms and you're revealing this. You're hurting the Democrat Party. It's just so funny. When she was at the University of Pennsylvania as an undergraduate, she changed her race from white to Native American. She made claims that her mom and her dad had trouble getting married because her mom was Cherokee. Okay. This reminds me of the picture of I saw these Brazilian med students, and it said this group, there's like 16 of them. All 16 of these Brazilian medical students applied to medical school as black. They were black. Well, you look at them and they're whiter than I am. I mean, it's like, what? They're lying. And so there's a big scandal going on down there. This whole race thing, this color of our skin thing, just drives me crazy. Why does it matter what the color of my skin is? Gosh, Martin Luther King Jr. is rolling over in his grave. Okay, it's the content of our character that matters, not the color of our skin. And so what does Elizabeth Warren do? And she's in college. She says she's a Native American. Okay. Then she's at Harvard. She's a woman of color. Okay. I mean, and she writes some cookbook where she says she's a Cherokee. I mean, this is just, this is cultural appropriation to the maximus. And as a matter of fact, the Native Americans are pushing back. They say, oh, we don't do DNA tests to figure out, if you're in our tribe or not. Of course not. I mean, this is like autism. Autism is this huge spectrum. So, I mean, we all will fit in that spectrum one time or another. And if we're all autistic, then no one's autistic. I'm quoting that. What movie was that from? I took a little twist on that. So this is just hilarious. Fauxcahontas. I mean, she is such a fake. Anyhow. So now she says, "Oh, Donald, pay up. We had that bet, $1 million. And so the Donald, being so smart, he goes, "Oh no, I'm not paying $1 million unless I do the DNA test myself." and it's not going to be pretty or something like that. Other people have figured out, well, wait a minute, if she's 1,024th Indian, then one 1,024th of $1,000,000 is like $980, and that's all he owes to charity. Well, anyhow, this is just unbelievably funny, and wow, yeah. So there we go. We don't have to worry so much about Elizabeth Warren politically. Wow, she's just, I mean, really to use that, and I want to just dovetail this. Oh, there's so much I've got to say. I want to discuss with you guys. Sorry. It dovetails. I've got an Asian American friend, who's super smart. He's born in Thailand. He comes to America, and that he's really smart. He applies to undergraduate, and you know what? Because he's Asian, okay, he is discriminated upon. So this court case just started against Harvard, and this is what the colleges have been doing. Now it's a private college, so in all fairness, I think we should just leave Harvard alone. But we've got all this civil rights stuff. We all should just have equal rights. But we've got all these added these laws now, and so we've got the government's really involved in you can't discriminate against color, okay? Which no one should do this, but people do, and so we've got these laws now. It's probably a necessary evil, something necessary to get through our problems with slavery and racism, and we've had to break through this. And so anyhow, so Harvard is being sued now because they are using the color of your skin or your race or ethnicity to discriminate. Okay, so if Harvard, right now I think like 13 or 14% of Harvard's incoming freshmen are Asians or Asian Americans, okay? And so, but if you look just at the test scores, 46% of them should be in the freshman class. What I'm trying to say is that these Asian Americans do very well on these test scores. They're smart. We all know their IQs are, way, way up there, above really any other group of people. And so what these colleges have done is that in order to let other minorities in, they deny the Asian Americans so they can bring in blacks or Hispanics or other people in. Okay, so now they're being sued for this. Okay, and it's really hard. My friend gets, is really smart and stuff, and many colleges didn't accept him, where he could have probably gone his test scores. He could go to the top schools of the nation. So anyhow, I hate this. I hate discrimination of any kind. This affirmative action stuff is so caustic. How do you even know if you get into a spot because of affirmative action? Is everyone else going to just think, oh gosh, how did he get in here? Obviously he's not very smart and stuff. So these things are just really annoying, and I hate them, and I hate affirmative action. I'm done with it. I really just want us to just not discriminate that way. I think it's really dumb. Okay, so anyhow, I want to mention this Stormy Daniels thing. So all these people who gave GoFundMe money to Stormy Daniels, it's ironic because she lost. This Avenatti guy is is he really even a lawyer? Did he even go to law school? The guy is a complete numbskull. And he lost this defamation lawsuit. And now they have to pay President Trump back. Oh, I love it. This libel suit. Okay, so now the GoFundMe money that people gave to Stormy Daniels is going to Donald Trump. This is, what sweet irony there. This is hilarious. This is a tweet on another subject. This is a tweet. It's very aggravating. There's this big caravan of people coming from Honduras, and they're going to just march into the United States, and they're just, making a big deal about this. And this is so aggravating. Americans, we get in lines and we like fairness. So people just flooding into our country illegally is not fair to the people who come into our country legally. We love immigrants, okay? Americans, we love immigrants. They are welcome here, but you got to get in line and come in orderly. And it's a it should be a merit-based system. We don't want people just to come in here and not contribute to our culture or our economy. Okay, that's the deal. That should be the deal. And so we like borders, and the cheapest thing for us to do, instead of having troops down at the border and guards, which is dangerous, is we'll just build a wall. It's so cheap. Oh, it's incredibly cheap answer to a lot of our illegal immigration problems. The Democrats still say no. The only reason why they say no now is they're just partisan politics, okay? They'll use, as I said earlier in my monologue, they'll say it's about values and, human rights. Oh, they'll blame it on something else. No, that's a big lie. When Obama supported the walls and fences, they were supportive. When Bill Clinton and Hillary talked about it, they were supportive. Well, now that Donald mentions the wall, oh, they're against it, and they have to oppose him. And that is partisan politics. I understand that. But we should just ignore that and push on. Okay, we won the election. They lost. So I love Donald's tweet here. The United States has strongly informed the president of Honduras that the large caravan of people heading to the U.S. is not stopped and brought back to Honduras. No more money or aid will be given to Honduras, effective immediately. Oh, I love it. The Donald is going to be strong. Can you imagine Barack Obama sending this tweet out? Did he even tweet? Oh, the Donald is just so all over it. I love it. Just off my watch, I know I got my pulse on America and what direction we're going. I love it. He's so busy. So he tweeted that at 9:05 this morning. So an hour ago. Awesome. We don't like this. Oh, this is an interesting article from Fox News about the Senate intelligence staffer who dated reporter pleads guilty to lying to the FBI about leaks. So this guy, is like in his 50s and he's totally leaking things. A former security director of the Senate Intelligence Committee has pleaded guilty to one count of giving a false statement to FBI agents looking into leaks of national security information to several reporters, including the New York Times. Oh. James A. Wolf, 58, was in charge of maintaining all classified information coming from the executive branch of the Senate panel. He served as the panel's security director for 29 years. Okay, so when the Donald talks about his deep state, we get mocked and laughed off. This is evidence, okay? This is total evidence that we're not kooky here. We're not tin-foil hat, weird conspiracy theorist dudes, okay? This is really real, okay? So I'm glad we're pushing back and fighting against this. Jamal Khashoggi, his family, so they want an independent and international probe. Well, this thing about this guy who wants to get divorced, he goes back to Saudi, he's dating this girl in Turkey, goes back to Saudi Arabia to get his papers. They tell him, oh, come back in a week. And then he disappears. Well, now there's rumors that Saudi Arabia might admit to some agents kind of killed him by mistake. Whatever. This is really a big kind of incident, national incident. This guy was critical of the Saudi Arabian government. So President Trump has sent Mike Pompeo over to Saudi Arabia. And Donald's tweeting that, no, I don't have financial ties with the Saudis or Russia for that matter, because the left will just go berserk on that. Once again, they're trying to tie in, really nonpartisan things. Their partisanship is just motivating those kind of attacks on him. That's okay. We can defend them. I want to wrap up the show talking about Marsys Law, Marsys'. I didn't know anything about this. And at work down in Pikeville, I saw these ads going on about Marsys Law. And it shows this woman, walking around, and it just said, victims need more rights and stuff. And it shows like this guy stalking her. Okay. And, so it's really on the side of victims. But what we really have here is a plaintiff and a defendant. Okay. And what I think of the Christine Blasey Ford, Brett Kavanaugh. Okay. So Christine Blasey Ford, I know that wasn't a court of law, but this is how we look at fairness in America. And we do have courts to settle these kind of disputes. And so Christine Blasey Ford, she is the plaintiff, okay? She is accusing Brett Kavanaugh. He is defending himself. She is accusing him of something. In America, the defendant has the presumption of innocence, and we have due process to try to figure out what's going on. We're not going to just automatically believe the person who brings this up, and that is the plaintiff. They're pleading their case. They just bring this up. The defendant's doing nothing, okay? Someone just accuses you of something. You're not doing anything. You are presumed innocent. This is a law, and this started, Marsy was the sister of this really wealthy guy. I forgot this guy, okay? So he's got all this money, and he is like almost single-handedly got this through the state of California in like 2008, and now it's spread to other states. It's very popular, okay? And what it does is it just adds all these layers. In Kentucky, it's going to be a constitutional amendment where victims, have more rights. I mean, people like Christine Blasey Ford, has more rights. Well, so if they have more rights, you're actually taking rights away from the defendant, okay? This is a balance that we have in America. And I really do like that when someone accuses you of something, the burden of proof is on them. It's not like a he said, she said, okay, let's look at things. I mean, we're going to evaluate the case. But remember, the burden of proof rests with the plaintiff, rests with the victim, possible victim, or this accuser person. So anyhow, this is really long, but anyhow, in Kentucky, this is on our ballot. Now it looks like this was just blocked, so I voted no on this. I don't think we need more laws and more rules. This will be very expensive. The people in Kentucky who are against this are the lawyers who defend people. Okay, they're against this. And ironically, in California, when this started, all the teachers' unions were against this. So teachers, sometimes the students, and this is happening more and more, the students will falsely accuse the teachers. Well, you see, there's a balance here, right? But this is really just giving more power to the accusers. And I think that might not be a good idea. So this was blocked by a circuit court judge just yesterday in Kentucky. And he said that he blocked this. And the reason why he blocked it, this is Judge Thomas Wingate, Franklin County Circuit Court. He said that it fails to inform the electorate of the substance of the amendment and that the constitutional amendment should be blocked. Okay, so anyhow, I thought that this was kind of sketchy. Oh, Donald's tweeting again. Oh, more job openings. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so on our ballot, it just says that, it's going to give all these rights to crime victims. And so, I mean, who doesn't want to support victims, right? And so anyhow, but this is a real burden for the courts and the government to administer all of this. And so the way it's worded on our ballot is like, this judge is saying that it's not it's not well thought out. The measure is a type of Marsys Law. The measure would provide crime victims with specific constitutional rights, which, according to the text, would include the right to be treated with fairness and due consideration for the victim's safety, dignity, and privacy, to be notified about proceedings, to be heard at proceedings involving release, plea, sentencing of the accused, to proceedings free from unreasonable delays, to be present at trials, to consult with the state attorneys, to reasonably protection from the accused and those acting on behalf of the accused, to be notified about release or escape of the accused, to have the victims and victims' families' safety considered when setting bail or determine release, and to receive. So you see this adds a lot of regulation and bureaucracy to the overburdened court system as it is. So I think I voted no. I don't think we need this. So Marcy, so this guy's sister was killed, and then the guy was convicted. It was an ex-boyfriend. He was convicted and put in prison, and then he was released. And her family, including this guy, didn't know that the guy was released. And so apparently that's why he started all this. So anyhow, I think it's a huge shotgun approach to a specific possible problem. I'm against it, but everyone else supports all this nonsense. It's interesting. The opponent here is in Kentucky is the ACLU, which is ironic. Okay, and so anyhow, I just don't think we need more stuff. It's going to cost a lot of money. And anyhow, all of the funding for this is coming from that one guy. He is funding all of this. And in Kentucky, it's $4 million that he spent. So I just think this is dumb. I think there is starting to be some pushback, but it's really sweeping across the country. So I know I'm not doing a really good job of explaining this, but it's called Marsys Law, and I'm reading this great article on Ballotpedia, which talks about it. I'm not a lawyer, and so I sometimes get overloaded with some of this stuff, but I'm glad I voted no on that. So it's probably the yeses are gonna beat the no's. I mean, people are gonna side with victims all the time. So anyhow, that's my take on that. Thank you guys so much for listening. I wanted to close with a quote from Thomas Sowell, one of my favorites. And he says, and I think this kind of ties into our discussion about partisan politics and using values to try to get our way. He says, "It is hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong." I think that's really so true, and I think that's why I'm for limited government and keeping liberty and freedom in the hands of the people where decisions do have consequences. And so we'll use those freedoms and liberties more carefully, and our money. Thank you so much for listening. This is Philip Corper. This is copyright 2018, The Philip Corper Show. You guys have a great day. Thanks. Bye.